Candidates Forum. I appreciate that you're interested in what's going on in your city, and I hope that all of you, except for some of these young ones, will be out there and vote here in a few weeks. Just to give you an idea of how we're going to do this, we're going to start with the candidates for mayor. We have two of them, as you can see. We have furnished the two candidates with 3 questions that the Government Affairs Committee from the Lebanon Chamber have come up with that we think are important. But in the meantime, while the mayors are answering those questions, all of you have an opportunity to write down questions on the pads that you see out there on the seats and pass them to our screeners, who will be Shelley and Rick and Carol. Now I ask you, when you write down your questions, please be brief, write legibly, and we will screen those questions for appropriate nature, and we will also screen them for duplication. And we will ask those questions of the mayoral candidates after they answer the 3 questions that we furnished them. Now what we're going to do is give all the candidates 90 seconds to answer each question. I will ask the question, and then the candidates will answer, and we will alternate back and forth. In other words, Paul will answer the first question first, and then Ken will answer the next question, and then Ken will start, and we'll go back this way, and we'll continue with that process with the questions that come from the audience. And again, it'll be 90 seconds. Mary down here in the front row has some cards that she will hold up. At 60 seconds, she will hold up the yellow paper there, and at 90 seconds, she will hold up the red stop paper. Now, if the candidates are right in the middle of closing a thought, we're not going to cut them off, but if they ramble, we will start to cut them off. And they've been made aware of that, and they agree to those rules. So I also want to thank the River Center and our technical genius back there, James. He said he'd be studying if he wasn't here, making sure that all the public address system is working fine for us. So thank you, James, for being here tonight and giving up your evening for this forum. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. Paul, what do you think are the 3 major issues facing Lebanon today, and what are your suggested solutions?
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kim. Green light's supposed to be on. Testing. There we go. There are 3 things that I have, and it's water rates and policies, lack of a long-term vision, and transparency. Number 1, water rates and policies. Unfortunately, the rates are set, and they're not going to go down as far as we know from what the city tells us. The high rates are due to lack of action on the city council over the years, kicking the can down the road, and not acting and putting us in this position to pay these. I believe there needs to be more flexibility and put back into the payment policies. I believe we need to explore a snowbird rate and more assistance for lower income families. Number 2, lack of a long-term vision. Our city has no long-term vision or planning for the future. That is one of the reasons I feel that our water rates are so high. I want to have the citizens of Lebanon come together and have planning for the future. Come together and have input on what we want our town to look like in 10 years. This is a groundwork for and the basis for moving Lebanon forward. I think a vision will help us move Lebanon and go where we need to get to. We must have a long-term vision to continue to grow our town's economic development. Lastly, and most importantly, is transparency. The lack of openness and transparency on the council and the city administration is evidence that they fail to realize they were placed in those positions to serve the people. We must restore public trust by more communications from the mayor, city council, and the city manager. I believe that videotaping every public meeting and posting them on the internet for everyone in the community to see is a must. Our mayor and city council members need to be more available and communicate on Facebook, email, and modern communications.
Thank you, and thank you for being here tonight. The 3 top that I have is the first is financial. Throughout my years of council service, be it as a councilor or as mayor, I've always supported a strong fiscal policy. Cities must be aware of the financial resources available to them and leverage them to the extent possible to secure core municipal operations. public safety, police and public building codes, community development activities, water, sewer, streets, and when possible, the enhanced livability service such as senior services, library services, and parks and recreation. The next bullet point would be economic development. We want to build on previous successes, securing facilities such as Northwest Comp, the Veterans Home, Lowe's, and other development can be used as a nexus for future jobs. With unemployment still in excess of 10%, we must not become complacent. We must continue to seek out new businesses that will provide family wage jobs. And the third item is public safety. When I think of public safety, I think about the importance of good community policing and building code enforcement. A community is successful when they feel safe and well protected on all levels. We accomplish this by providing adequate funding as well as administrative support to the programs sponsored by both our police and building code divisions. Thank you.
Okay, our next question. Okay, our next question. Can you hear me out there?
Testing. Is this working?
Yes.
James, can you pull the line? We'll use this one.
Just have a red light here.
Okay, our next question, and we will start on the other side with Mayor Toombs, and then Paul Aziz will be the second to answer this question. As mayor, how will you unite the council for the good of all Lebanon citizens?
As a former counselor and now mayor, I have always embraced differences of opinions and feel it is important that all council members have the ability to express concerns. It's as mayor's job to provide opportunities to build consensus. But as mayor, I cannot compel someone to vote one way or another. And I've always made that a practice not to try to influence other council members. Thank you.
Same question. Okay.
I've been shocked at the lack of decorum and the defiant attitude of the city council towards each other, and even more shockingly, towards the community. The mayor sets a tone for the city council, and I plan to set a tone of openness and transparency on the city council, manager, and staff. Too many things are being done behind closed doors and in secret. Meetings are being called on a Friday afternoon, just like recently, with barely 24 hours notice, where most citizens cannot attend. This is not serving the public interest. I have a lot of experience and background that will help me as mayor. I was a police officer, and I worked with many different people in situations over the years. I was a technical support manager with a department of over 80 people and a $3 million budget. I was able to bring together employees and create an atmosphere where they enjoyed working, and they did an excellent job. I teach at LBCC, and I've been teaching there for 12 years. I own a computer business in town, so I'm absolutely vested in economic development in our town and how our town is run. My livelihood in town depends on it. I have experience as a team leader. I have the ability to bring together different groups of people and rally for a common cause. By being more transparent, honest, and communicating with the public, our council will be able to work better together with each other and with the community. I will bring a fresh, new, positive energy as I want to work with all the councilors to make the city council one that Lebanon residents are proud of.
Okay, our next question, and we'll start first with you, Paul, and then we'll move over to Ken on this. And this is the final question that the Government Affairs Committee has prepared for the candidates, and they had ahead of time. And hopefully we have some from you folks out there. What attributes do you want to see in Lebanon's new city manager?
A good city manager needs to have a broad set of skills. Needs to have honesty and character, excellent communication skills and interpersonal skills, a good multitasker with the ability to work on many different projects at the same time, needs to be politically savvy but not political, expert strategic planning, financial skills, and economic development skills, be a consensus builder, willing to become intimately involved and invested in the community. And we need a visionary who will work with the City Council, the community, businesses, and organizations, and plan for our future. I would like to see the community having input in what they would like to see in our new city manager. The mayor and city council have not included the public in this process. I suggest a citizens committee giving input on the traits they would like to see in a city manager. By making a good choice on the new city manager, we can grow our economic development and bring jobs to Lebanon. The recently released report on the Justice Center investigation concluded there was no evidence of a hostile work environment. However, the report goes on to say, quote, "My investigation did find evidence that many city employees lack trust in city management, including city manager John Hitt and assistant manager Ginger Allen." The city manager reports to the mayor and the city council, and it is their job to evaluate and monitor the manager's job as per the city charter. It is obvious this has not been done very well. The position of city manager is a keystone of our city government, and the decision of who that person should be should not be rushed, and the interview process should be thorough.
Mayor Toomb, same question, please.
Yeah, I will be looking, the council will be looking for someone to continue our successes in economic development, someone who has a history as a good communicator with staff, council, and community, and a person who has demonstrated strong fiscal responsibilities in their former positions.
Thanks, both of you. We'll go ahead and start on your side, again, Mayor Toombs. And our first question from the audience, and I think the audience really took to heart my be brief, because this just says views on IND, and I'm assuming that that means industry. So I would expect this question to maybe be something around what are your views on bringing more industry into Lebanon?
What we have in the pipeline right now is a new hotel convention center that is in the planning stage right now. They have the veterans home that is under construction right now, and we are always dealing with the state on leads to further our economic development. But we do have the veterans home, the hotel convention center, and also the startup of the new LBC Automotive Center. So we are looking well into the future, and the long-range plan for the Samaritan Hospital's grounds across from the hospital is over a $200 million investment in this community. So I think that we've done a great job of looking forward and planning ahead for the well-being of this community. And with the addition of Lowe's and a couple of other companies, Latticrete, expansion of Intech, in the last 5 years, we've added over 1,000 jobs to this community. So I think we've done a great job in economic development, and we are looking into the future, and we do have several projects that are on the planning stage, are under development now. So I think we've done a great job in economic development.
I'm sorry, same question. So what are your views on bringing more industry into Lebanon?
I believe we've done a good job on bringing industry here, as evidenced by the projects that the mayor spoke of. The one thing, I met with the city planner a few weeks back and talked to him and asked him what's in the pipeline right now. Actually, not in the pipeline, those are the projects the mayor spoke about, but what's going to happen in a couple of years. Because as we know, the Planning Commission, which I was on the Planning Commission, we know that the Planning Commission works on projects that are several years down the road. And I asked, what projects are you working on right now, which means those would go into effect in a few years? Because the medical college and the hotel and all these other things have been in the works for several years. They just didn't come up last week. There is no projects, there is none, no major projects in the works right now. And that is what he told me point blank. And I was pretty shocked. And I asked him twice, are you sure? He said, no, there's no major projects that I'm working on. I said, is there anything secret that I can't know about that, you can't tell me the name, because a lot of times companies don't want to tell the name for fear of, different reasons for their business. And he said, no, that there wasn't any, even with no name. So it is important to keep that pipeline filled with projects coming in, and I don't see that happening right now. And part of the reason I think that is the turnover in our staff and the management has been pretty great, because when all of these projects happened, we had a whole different management staff, and it's changed quite a bit over there in the city. I think that industry is important. We need to continue to bring industry here, but when we do, we have to bring industry where we're going to keep the feeling of the small hometown of Lebanon and not be some big corporate entity and have big businesses here. We need appropriate businesses that will make us feel like we're still Lebanon. Things like the college are great.
Thank you. Well, we'll start with you on this question, Paul. And I'm going to take a little license on this question because it's kind of the same question that I was handed. And it's, what are your plans for further economic development for Lebanon? And I'm going to just kind of extend that a little bit, because every city in Oregon is talking about economic development. It's not an easy thing to do. And everybody wants it. There's not an economic development agency out there that isn't trying to get industry into Oregon. How do you do that?
I don't believe just getting industry in here is the only answer to economic development. I believe that taking the resources that we have here in town, the small businesses, the family businesses, and helping to grow those businesses and helping to grow our economy. Things like high water rates are going to drive people out of town. And if we drive people out of town, we are not going to have people here. It doesn't matter if we have an economic development or not. We need to have a community where people want to live. We want to have a community where people want to play and enjoy. And to do that, I think we need to take what we have and help improve that. The downtown needs to be improved. The museum is an excellent project, the Scroggins plan. Things like that need to be enhanced. How about a train? I have this vision for a train going through from Sweet Home or over to Mill City and just going up and down and bringing tourists from all over the country. Things like that could make our town prosper, not just bringing big box stores to our town.
Okay, Mayor Toombs, it's your turn, and I'm going to kind of repeat that a little bit because I went on a little bit. The question is, what are your plans for further economic development for Lebanon? And my addition to that was every city in Oregon is looking to develop the economy. It's no secret that we have a poor economy here. How do you do that? What are your plans to get that job done?
We are currently working with the State Development Agency. We have actually had several meetings with the state people, but I'd like to refer to an article in the Democrat Herald about the Lebanon economic development. This is by State Treasurer Ted Wheeler. Lebanon's path has been upward, he said. The community has voted with confidence to improve its situation. It's not an economy based on one good or service. It's diversified. Wheeler pointed to the community investments in the new Comp Northwest Medical School, the LBCC Automotive Training Center, and the soon-to-be built Veterans Home as prime examples. He said the economy is improving, but it is doing so slowly, particularly in Oregon. Communities outside of Portland or the Columbia River corridor. When things go well economically, it's because of the work of the local staff and in partnership with the state economic development. And I think we have a great relationship with the state of Oregon, and they are continually working to bring new jobs, new industry to the city of Lebanon. Thank you.
You might as well hang on to that microphone because we're going to start with you on that side, Ken. This question is, any plans for schools on wells that are not being supplied adequately? And I can't quite make out the name of the school here. Anyway.
That would be an answer that the school district would have to address. To my knowledge, I know of no school that is planning to drill a well. And I know the city is planning to improve our water treatment plant, and that will be on the start construction in 2014. But we have no knowledge of any school wanting to drill or going to drill a well.
Okay, Paul, same question. Any plans for schools on wells that are not being supplied?
I don't understand the question exactly, but I'm guessing if that's what they were thinking, maybe to save money for the schools. That is a school district issue, and I don't know of any plans. Talking to the school superintendent, I haven't heard of any plans of anything to do that. And I don't know if that would be a good idea or not, so it's not something I've investigated.
Okay, thank you. Might as well hang on to that mic. All right, we have more. How confident are you with the results of the study by the attorney Is it C?
Star.
Star.
I'm not very confident in the results completely. There were a lot of inferences in there that the city employees do not feel comfortable. They do not trust the management, and that includes city council. That does not just include the management of the city managers. I think that the report was rushed. The way it was done was inappropriate. The mayor was quoted in the paper as saying, I guess that's what we need to do and that's what the people want. And I just think it was rushed. I think it was a poorly done thing, and I think we wasted $18,000 and we got an answer that we kind of expected. The other point of that whole report was that the investigator was picked by someone on the city council. Apparently, we still don't even know the answer because no one would admit to it, but apparently it was picked by someone on the city council who's another HR person, and the attorney was an HR person. So you kind of don't investigate HR issues with a person who's an attorney who defends businesses so they don't get sued. It didn't make any sense. It should have been a non-partial, impartial judge that would have been doing this report, and it was just, I just think it was not a very good report.
The investigator that was hired for this was actually hired. I made a mistake. I signed a contract with her that was not valid. That was voided. We went back to the city council. City council approved the hiring of Renee Starr, who is an attorney out of Portland. She interviewed approximately 40 people in the city, former employees, 30-some people at the Justice Center, and came up with the findings that there was not a hostile work environment in the Justice Center. There's always some dissatisfaction with employees, but the main issue was, is there a hostile work environment and at the Justice Center? And the findings were complete, and she did a thorough job of investigating and interviewing as many people that would talk to her in the Justice Center.
Might as well hang on to that, Ken. You're up next first. What will you do to increase public input in our governing?
What we have done in the past is we've had multiple public hearings. Council meetings are well advertised. The one council meeting that my opponent referred to that was called on an emergency basis was to review the report, and the reason that was done was that we wanted to get that to the newspaper as soon as possible, and it has been and will be reported in the newspaper. And we try to get as much advertising out. We advertise in both of the papers for all of our city meetings, and we do the best that we get the information out, and I think we do an adequate job of doing that.
Paul, same question. What will you do to increase public input in our governing?
Well, one of the things I mentioned I want to do is I want to videotape every single public meeting. That needs to be online so people can see that. They need to see how the councilors treat each other, how they act, how the meetings are run, and then people can make informed decisions when they come to vote. It's not just what they read in the paper or what they hear people talking about in town. As far as meetings being called, that is a bunch of baloney. Because that meeting that was called the other day could have been held on for a few days so we could have told people, but it was done within 24 hours notice, which is the legal minimum or maximum. And then from that, it was on a Friday afternoon. And it was right before. They always release information in the national news Friday afternoon so people don't know about it. And it's the same thing. Why don't we just give an extra few days for people to make plans? A 12:30 in the afternoon meeting, how many of you can take off work and go to that? I can't leave my business for that. It's frustrating, and the openness is a joke. There is no openness on the council. They have public meetings, and there are rules, and now they've limited, you can only talk so long at the city council. They've shut people up. It's very, very frustrating. There is not public input. I want to have, once a month, something that the mayor does, that I would have a lunch once a month, and the next month maybe it's a dinner with the mayor. Whatever it is, have some kind of input where the community can come in and talk to the mayor, talk to the city council, maybe have a couple city council members and the mayor meet together with people outside of the one meeting a month of the city council. It's not like that's a really big deal to get public input.
Might as well hang on to that, Mike. This one's regarding water rates. The This individual can no longer afford to water the lawn, washing at the car wash now. What are you going to do about this abnormal increase in rates?
Unfortunately, and I've put it on my Facebook page, and that's another thing. I hope people would come to my Facebook page to take a look, because I have an open conversation with the community. I'm talking to people, I'm answering questions, and people are asking things. And that's the kind of communications that we need to have. But as far as the water rates, unfortunately, what the city has done over the years, we are stuck with those water rates. I can't see another way around it. There may be, we may not be getting the full picture, because that's kind of the way things go around here, but we're not sure, and I don't think there's anything we can do about the water rates. I would never run on that saying that I could take those water rates down, because I just don't think I can. However, we have to look at the things that we can do, and some of those things would be rates for seniors, rates for people who have lower income, snowbird rates, things like that, and trying to make sure this does not happen again. That's the point, is to be open and to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't get kicked down the road like it has. When I was on the Planning Commission, this was over 10 years ago, it was being talked about that that water plant was coming. There is no fund set aside for that water plant, none. Your money that you're paying extra every year, 15%, 15%, 15%, and by the way, it's not 60%, it's 60, and it's compounded each time. It's 15 compounded, 15 compounded, so it's more like 80% of an increase that we're paying on our water rates. It is a big issue. It's important to us. I've talked to so many people that are deciding whether they pay for food or whether they pay their water bill, and it isn't fair to our community. We've done a lot of injustice by doing this, and part of it again was the inaction.
I agree with you that the council, I advocated 10, 12 years ago that we needed to start working on the reserve for the water system. In 1982, we bought the water system from Pacific Power. It was a total sieve. We've been investing in that system since 1982 to bring up the distribution system. Our water treatment plant is obsolete, and I tried to get the council to start raising those rates over 10 years ago so that it wouldn't be such a huge bite that we do now, but we are mandated by the DEQ, the EPA, and we have to upgrade our water system. I don't like the rates. It's the cards that we've been dealt with, and we are doing the best we can. We do have a reserve built up now so that when we go up to bond for the completion of the water treatment plant, we will be able to bond for considerably less than the projected price of $21 million. So the council has started, although they started late on this, they are trying to build a reserve so that the impact won't be as great when we go to bond for that water treatment system, which is solely needed, and it is a must that we have an updated water treatment plant.
Okay, we have several more questions here. What must we protect to keep our town's identity as it becomes a city? What makes Lebanon, Lebanon?
Well, I think we still need to keep the friendliness that we advertise, that Lebanon is the friendliest city in the state of Oregon. We still need to keep the small town identity, although we are growing. We have grown considerably in the last 10 years. But I would like to see the openness and the community involvement, the chamber, all of the service clubs that are involved in the city of Lebanon, and I would like to see that continue.
Same question, you want me to repeat it? Or?
Could you please?
Okay. What must we protect to keep our town's identity as it becomes a city? What makes Lebanon, Lebanon?
That's an excellent question. One of the things I want to ask you, do you know what our city's motto is anymore? It's not the town that friendliness built. When I moved here over 15 years ago, it was the town that friendliness built. It's now, it's easier from here. That was a marketing campaign, and that's the name of that's the motto of our town now. I think that absolutely needs to change, even though that's a small thing. I think it's an important thing. We need our identity, we need the small town feeling. That's why we need to develop downtown. I think Partners for Progress has done a great job. They need to continue on that, and the city needs to really back that, and so does the chamber. And we need to continue things like the Saturday market, the Thursday afternoon market. There's so many cool things that are going on in town. That's the identity of our town, and that's how we keep it. Just bringing in big businesses, just bringing in a college, or just bringing in the automotive center, it's important, and we want to do that, but by itself it's not enough. We need to continue to develop the rest of the town, and we continue to need to look for our citizens as far as things like the water rates, the transparency, so that the community can come in and talk about what they want there. That's my vision, is to have the community, just like the school district did. Look at how well the school district is doing now. You don't hear about those horrible stories that you heard about a few years back about how bad the school district was. The school district went out and got a vision. They got everybody to come in and say, what do you think our town should look like? I want to see what our town looks like in 10 years and have the community decide, not a bunch of people sitting up on a board dictating what the town's going to look like.
Hang on to it. A well-known business mantra is, if you're not growing, you're dying. What will you do to keep improving the practices and procedures of our government?
That's where I think the transparency is key. We've got to show people that we are not hiding things, that as a city council and as mayor and as the city managers, that we're being open with the government. It is our government, and it needs to work for us, not the other way around. And that government has to do things that people trust in and believe in. If you don't have that belief, our town will be nothing. We will have none of these things we're talking about. We won't have a vision, we won't have a plan, and we'll just basically have another city. And we don't need another city. We need the town of Lebanon back.
Would you really? Okay. A well-known business mantra is, if you're not growing, you're dying. What will you do to keep improving the practices and procedures of our government?
Well, basically, I think we've done a great job in the economic development area. We've done a credible job in growing this community. I think that we need to keep servicing what we have here. We expand on that and working in partnership with the companies, with the Cop Northwest, with the Lowe's, with Intech, and with the other companies in this town. And this also helps the smaller businesses in the downtown area prosper, and the added people that come to this community always helps the smaller businesses prosper. And I think that we're doing a good job, and we want to keep up with the same thing that we're doing. Thank you.
Okay, we have several more questions here, and I want to give you guys time to wrap it up, and we're running a little short on time here. So, the Veterans Home is being funded by a levy, which will compress all taxes in Linn County. Would you have supported a bond instead? Why or why not?
What do they mean, the taxes? The county went out for a bond measure of 19 cents per thousand to fund the purchase of the Veterans Home. That's the county's investment in that. They bought the property from the hospital. The last legislature awarded the city of Roseburg the same amount of money, $10 million, to buy property there. The next legislature that is going to be meeting, the county commissioners of the county, Linn County, are going to lobby the legislators to give us the same amount of money. So the rest of that is coming from the federal. The only part that is coming from the county is the $10 million that the voters voted to buy that property. But the county commissioners are going to the state legislature as soon as they reconvene to get that reversed, because they did award Roseburg $10 million to buy property down in Roseburg. Now, the caveat on that legislature was that Roseburg can't tap that money until the Veterans Home is completed in Lebanon. So they're not getting their money, or if the legislature continues, that was through the lottery funds. But the county commissioners are going to lobby the legislators to give us the same amount of money. Therefore, the bond measure will disappear.
And I agree with the mayor. It's really a county issue. It's really not a city issue, and I don't think it has to do with the bond. I think it has to do with the voting. People voted in Lynn County, and so I think that was taken care of.
Thanks. Next question, nice and short. Why do we owe Lowe's so much money?
I'd like to know.
That's a great question, and when we started the negotiations with Lowe in 2005, the city signed an agreement to put in the infrastructure. Now, this is done through a Northwest Urban Renewal District, and it's a very complicated procedure, but basically, the taxes on the property in the Lowe's district, in the Northwest Urban Renewal District, was frozen at the level that they were at the time that the URD was implemented. The increase in the property values of the Lowe's goes to pay off that infrastructure. The bottom line is that in 10 years, the city will invest $5 million in infrastructure for Lowe's. Their property tax is $1.5 million a year. That will pay off that Northwest Urban Renewal fee that we put in the infrastructure. So in a 10-year period, we will get approximately $15 million on that investment. So I think most people would look at it and say, well, for $5 million, we're going to get between 10 and 15 million back over a period of 10 to 15 years. I think that was a great investment.
Next question, how is Lebanon going to handle present and future debt? Bond or taxes?
We have no tax increases in the future coming. Our bond indebtedness is all taken care of. We have a bond indebtedness for the water sewer. That is being taken care of through the rate structure. The bond indebtedness for the Lowe's is being taken care of by their bonding and by their taxing. So right now we are very fiscally sound. In the last 5 years we have improved our reserves by over $5 million or 36%. So we are financially and physically sound as a community.
One of the things that I think that's important is when we talk about and I was mentioning this earlier about the water treatment plant, is that we did not pay into a pool. One of the things, just for educational purposes, one of the things is that we pay money so that we can raise up the rate that the city is making on water. And then at that point, we can qualify for a bond. It's much like qualifying for a house is what it is, where you have to have enough income. And that's really, I just want to make that clear because not everybody understands that. Then the bond can be received or gotten by the city. And that bond, they're trying to get a lower rate by us getting our income up and by getting this amount of income from water rates. So that's really the only one that I'm aware of that's coming up that I've heard from the city. But again, I don't know. That's just from what I've heard, talking to city managers.
Okay, next question. We've got a couple more, and then I'll give both of you 90 minutes to.
Okay.
Or 90
minutes?
seconds. 90 seconds, rather.
They'll be asleep.
Yeah, 90 seconds to kind of wrap up. Why is the cost of building permits so high?
I'm not sure. That's really not my field because I'm not on the city council and I'm not the mayor now. I don't know. The one thing I did find that was interesting, I had someone come to me and ask me about the inspector. It was somebody who had some real problems with the inspection process, and I went and educated myself with the city planner and found out apparently at one time we had actually kind of jobbed out that to someone that went around and did city inspections, and apparently it was kind of like on a commission basis. So it was very bad. I went and I investigated. Apparently that's not being done anymore, so that's not being done. But as far as anything else, I'm not sure what the city's doing.
The city building permits have to be a standalone. So the cost of a building permit goes into the planning and the engineering and the building inspector. That is all a standalone so that they don't have to drain the general fund. And the reason for the rates are that rates are built into the actual cost of issuing that building permit and all of the engineering and the study and the planning that goes into that. And the city does not make money on that. It's a break-even situation.
Okay, This is our final question. Were any of the former employees interviewed in the attorney's report by Renee Starr? Is that the...
Yes, that is the name, and yes, there were, and that is all confidential. That was not in the report. That was not given to the city management or anybody, but there were former employees that were interviewed, and that would be, that's an attorney-client privilege that Renee Starr has, but she told us that she had interviewed former employees.
And from reading the report, that's exactly what I saw, is that there were former employees that were interviewed, but it doesn't say really how many or who they were, which is their privacy protection.
Hang on to it there, Paul. At this point in time, we're going to give the candidates 90 seconds to go ahead and wrap up and give their final comments.
Though it hasn't been a lifelong ambition of mine to enter politics, this is something that I really do feel strongly about. Despite many challenges of running for office, I know that this is something that I must do. My opponent's a nice man. He's done a lot of good things for our town, and I will be the first to admit it and thank him for that. However, it's time for a fresh new generation of leaders in town. This coming Lebanon election could be a turning point in our city's history. We can keep on the same course: lack of communications, lack of community input, no transparency, poor planning, unhappy city employees, the Justice Center debacle, or we can turn the corner and create a Lebanon that we can be proud to call home, where residents have a say in how the community will look. We need better planning, more transparency, and a fully funded police department to ensure a safe community. It's time to fix the problems. Our local government is supposed to work for us. Friends, we do have a problem because our government is not working for us. It's a challenge, and I'm determined to face it head on in the same manner that I will deal with any challenges facing the Mayor of Lebanon. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you, Chamber, for having this event.
During the worst economy since the Great Depression, and a time when most cities and counties have cut vital programs and staff, the City of Lebanon has significantly increased city services as follows. Police and public safety, we've increased this over 46%. Senior Center and Dial-A-Bus, we've increased the funding over 43%. Library services, we've increased over 58%. Street maintenance, we've increased over 27%. All of these enhanced services was accomplished without reducing other city services or reducing the city's fiscal reserves, which have increased by almost $5 million, or 36% since I've been mayor. In addition, during my last 2 terms, the city approved a 7% property tax rate reduction effective this year, participated in the effort to attract and cite Comp Northwest, Lebanon's new medical college, won the statewide competitive bid for the new Oregon Veterans Home, bringing about 230 plus jobs to Lebanon by 2013. Added nearly 1,000 jobs to the local economy. My wife and I are longtime residents of Oregon. In addition, I have decades of volunteer service and involvement with such organizations as the Lebanon Boys and Girls Club, Lebanon Chamber of Commerce, Lebanon Planning Commission, the Hospital Foundation, and Cascades West Council of Governments. The next 2 years are critical for Lebanon. The city needs a proven leader who knows how to leverage the success of Lowe's Distribution Center, new medical college, and coming Veterans Home in order to further improve city services and attract other new compatible businesses, offering not only new jobs but an enhanced quality of life for all of Lebanon's citizens. I believe that my proven record as mayor, my long residency in and service to the community of Lebanon, and my goals and vision for the future merit your support and vote this November. Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting this forum on. And thank you, and good luck, Paul.
I want to thank both these gentlemen for their participation tonight. It's not easy to do what they're doing up here, and good luck to both of you in the upcoming election. Thank you, audience. We're going to take about